During their training, medical residents master countless techniques, surgeries, and procedures that they'll later rely on to save lives. Their ability to recall these skills can quite literally mean the difference between life and death. With this in mind, a 2006 research study divided a class of surgical residents learning to suture arteries into two groups. Both groups used the same materials, but one made a small adjustment in the way they studied. When tested a month later, that group performed their surgical tasks far more effectively than the others. We'll explore the secret behind their success, along with two other powerful study strategies that can be applied both inside and outside the classroom. But before we get to those, let's first understand how the brain learns and retains information. Imagine you're studying the anatomy of the heart. When you first encounter a new concept, your brain temporarily encodes it in clusters of neurons within an area called the hippocampus. As you continue learning about the heart's structure and functions, whether in class or during review sessions, those same neurons are reactivated. Each reactivation strengthens the neural connections, helping stabilize the memory. Over time, this information transitions into long-term storage, involving another region of the brain, known as the neocortex. While the exact process of how short-term memories become long-term is still not fully understood, it's believed to occur between study sessions, and perhaps most importantly, during sleep. During these periods, new knowledge is integrated with what you already know, like how to measure heart rate or the anatomy of other organs. But the process doesn't stop there. Each time you recall that information, the memory is reactivated and becomes flexible once again, ready to be strengthened, refined, and linked with other ideas. This brings us to our first study method, active recall. Testing yourself through flashcards or quizzes forces your brain to retrieve information, reinforcing and updating those memories. Students often prefer more passive strategies, like rereading textbooks or highlighting notes. However, these methods can create an illusion of mastery since the information is visible right in front of you. Self-testing, on the other hand, gives a far more accurate picture of what you truly know. And if you can't remember an answer, don't worry. Making mistakes can actually enhance learning in the long run. When you struggle to recall something, your brain activates related bits of knowledge. Then, once you see the correct answer, your mind can more effectively connect it with what you already understand. Our second technique builds upon this: interleaving. When using flashcards, mix topics rather than studying one subject at a time. Switching between different concepts in a single session has been shown to improve retention compared to focusing on a single skill repeatedly. One reason this works is that, just like testing, interleaving forces the brain to forget and then retrieve information, further strengthening memory. It can also help you see how different topics relate or contrast with one another. Now that we've covered how and what to study, the final technique is about when to study. Spacing your learning over multiple days allows the brain to rest and process information between sessions. While you sleep, your brain consolidates what you've learned, embedding it into long-term memory. So even though cramming the night before an exam might make the material feel fresh, it's far less effective for lasting retention. This idea brings us back to the surgical residents. Both groups study for the same total amount of time. However, one group completed their training in a single day, while the other, more successful, group spread their sessions over 4 weeks. All three study methods, active recall, interleaving, and spaced repetition, work because they align with how the brain naturally learns. They strengthen and complement the brain's remarkable ability to process, organize, and store the vast amounts of information it encounters every day.